Headlines of VTV News. Politburo directs storm recovery operations. Mozambican president pays official visit to Vietnam. And China opens up medical sector manufacturing to foreign investment.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News, broadcast live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Pham, and here's the top news of the hour. Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm on Monday afternoon chaired a Politburo meeting to direct urgent actions needed to stabilize the lives of citizens affected by Storm Yagi. We have more on Typhoon Yagi's recovery operations in the following story.
The Politburo reviewed reports of the damage caused by Typhoon number 3 on Monday afternoon. This superstorm caused significant and unprecedented damage. The government, Prime Minister, and local authorities have proactively implemented early warning and preventative measures. Recovery work is currently being carried out promptly and systematically.
The Politburo and Secretariat expressed sympathy for agencies, localities, and families affected by Typhoon number 3. They lauded the efforts of the government, Prime Minister, ministries, localities, the public, and especially the military and police forces. Weather forecasting agencies, the agriculture sector, the transport sector, electricity providers, and media outlets were also praised. Media outlets like Vietnam Television and Voice of Vietnam maintained continuous updates for wide-reaching guidance.
Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm called for the entire political system to prioritize storm recovery efforts, especially the rescue of those still isolated or missing.
This week's priority is rescue operations. All search and rescue teams, resources and methods, whatever means necessary, must be deployed to access isolated areas, assist those affected and rescue those missing or isolated. There should be a clear delegation of tasks among leaders, members of the Politburo and Secretariat in critical areas like Lao Cai, Sơn La, Yen Bai, and Cao Bunk. Heavy rain in past days poses a high risk of landslides, floods and hunger. Aid is prioritized for vulnerable groups such as seniors, children, and the sickly. I request the Prime Minister be in charge of delivering rice, instant noodles, clean water, clothes, and medicine quickly to each hard-hit district and area.
Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm also requested inspections of roads, bridges, and levees at risk of a collapse, and urged a speedy restoration of any disrupted power and communication. Schools must be repaired quickly so students can get back to learning as soon as possible.
Typhoon Yagi has caused extensive damage as it made landfall across several northern provinces. The aftermath of the storm continues to wreak havoc with heavy rainfall, severe flooding, and landslides, resulting in significant casualties and property damage. At 10 a.m. Monday, the Phong Châu Bridge connecting Tam Nông and Lâm Thao districts in Phú Thọ province collapsed. The exact number of victims remains undetermined, though 5 have been rescued and were reported to be in stable condition.
Video footage captures the moment of the bridge collapse. 2 residents fell onto the bridge space and were fortunately rescued by locals. Although they sustained only minor injuries, 1 man remains shaken by the accident.
As I was falling, I was terrified. I just thought I might die because I couldn't swim. I feel like I was close to death's door.
Initial reports from local authorities indicate that the bridge collapse was caused by the typhoon-induced flooding. which raised the water level of the Red River. The strong current led to the failure of Pier T7 and the collapse of two main spans of the bridge. Shortly after, Deputy Prime Minister Ho Đức-Phước arrived at the scene to oversee rescue and relief operations.
The Prime Minister has requested the launch of rescue and relief efforts. The local military and police forces along with local authorities have been assigned with search and rescue operations. A pontoon bridge is also within plan for immediate relief.
Rescue teams have been deployed along the riverbank from Trung Hà Bridge to Phong Châu Bridge to aid in the search and rescue efforts.
We've dispatched the Engineer Brigade 543, the Phu Thor Provincial Military Command and the 297th Regiment to help the people.
Authorities are also working with the families of victims to accurately tally the number of those affected. The affected families are left waiting anxiously, with their hopes pinned on a miracle.
In the aftermath of Storm Yagi, hundreds of schools in Quảng Ninh province have suffered extensive damage. Although the storm has passed, students are unable to start the new school year until the damage is fully repaired. At many schools, teachers and parents are working together to restore the learning environment.
On the second day following the storm, teachers and students from this school are working together to clear the wreckage. A power pole in front of the school gate has been knocked down, and much of the school's equipment and infrastructure has been damaged. Despite being on break, many students have volunteered to assist their teachers in the cleanup efforts.
It makes me sad to see our school and learning environment turn into an absolute wreck overnight.
The storm shattered many of the school's glass windows. Thanks to the support of the Parent-Teacher Association, some of them have been replaced within the last 2 days.
We were given a day off to do cleanup work. We are committed to wrapping it up as soon as possible. Students may resume their study as early as next morning unless notified otherwise.
Across Quảng Ninh province, hundreds of schools were impacted by the storm, with many facing severe structural damage. Local authorities and the education sector are actively working to repair the destruction and restore school facilities. Uprooted trees on school grounds may have fallen in the storm, but soon, new saplings will begin a new cycle of life.
Typhoon Yagi has passed, leaving unprecedented devastation across northern Vietnam, including the capital city Hanoi. Amidst the calamity, the presence of the military has become a symbol of hope and resilience. Over 10,000 soldiers stand by to assist with recovery efforts, embodying their enduring spirit of service and dedication to the people.
From early morning, troops from the Hanoi Command were already at work in Thanh Xuân District, working alongside local forces to clear fallen trees and debris using specialized equipment. These areas remain dangerous due to the risk of additional branches falling.
Our division has mobilized personnel who, despite the challenging weather, have worked tirelessly to manage the storm's aftermath.
More than 10,000 soldiers from the Hanoi Armed Forces and other military units have been deployed. They have worked diligently to remove fallen branches, cut down trees, and clear debris, showing dedication as if they were restoring their own neighborhoods.
We have cleared the trees blocking roads, reopened major routes, and ensured that residents can continue their daily lives.
Preparations have been excellent in terms of planning, resources, and local deployment.
Despite the difficulties in traveling, the soldiers quickly helped clear the roads. Their efforts truly honor the legacy of Uncle Ho, and we are deeply thankful.
Typhoon Yagi has left behind severe damage. However, the humble yet heroic presence of Uncle Ho's soldiers shines even brighter. Their dedication and compassion bring comfort to the people during these challenging, stormy days.
Nearly 25,000 trees were uprooted across Hanoi. Heavy rain and strong winds damaged 6 motorbikes and 13 cars, knocked down hundreds of meters of walls and fences, and caused several homes to collapse or lose their roofs. The district most affected by fallen trees are Hoàng Mai, Long Biên, Nam Từ Liêm, Gia Lâm, and Đông Anh. Relevant units are mobilizing personnel and equipment to clear fallen trees and broken branches. This work must be completed by September the 12th. Rare trees that need preservation will be relocated to nurseries for care by September the 15th. Coming up next, Mozambican president pays official visit to Vietnam. And top Vietnamese and Russian legislators hold talks in Russia. At the invitation of Party General Secretary, State President Tô Lâm and his spouse, President of the Republic of Mozambique, Philippe Jacinto Nyusi, and his spouse paid an official visit to Vietnam. The top Vietnamese leader hosted a welcome ceremony, held a private meeting, and conducted official talks on Monday morning with the Mozambican leader at the presidential palace.
During President Philippe Jacinto Nyusi's official visit to Vietnam, Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm congratulated Mozambique on its achievements under the leadership of the Frelimo Party, particularly in maintaining political stability and economic development. Both leaders reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening the traditional relationship between the two countries and discussed ways to enhance cooperation in various fields, including theoretical research, experience sharing, and officers training. President Nyusi praised Vietnam's impressive growth and international standing. He also extended condolences over the passing of Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng and expressed solidarity with Vietnam in the aftermath of Typhoon Yagi. The two leaders agreed to intensify exchanges at all levels to strengthen political trust and enhance bilateral cooperation. Both sides will continue close coordination and mutual support at regional and international forums, of which both countries are members. They highlighted the success of economic cooperations, such as the Movitel, a joint venture between Vietnam's Viettel Group and Mozambique's SPI company, and discussed Vietnam's expansion in industries such as cashew processing and fisheries in Mozambique. Both sides also agreed to strengthen bilateral mechanisms and agreements in agriculture, education, and healthcare. The two leaders share common views on regional security, particularly the importance of peaceful resolution of disputes in the East Sea. The meeting concluded with the signing of two key cooperation agreements in the fields of energy, minerals, and fisheries.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính on September the 9th chaired a meeting between permanent cabinet members and the standing board of the Subcommittee for Socio-Economic Affairs of the 14th National Party Congress, during which the participants gave opinions on the draft report evaluating the 5-year implementation of the Socio-Economic Development Strategy for 2021 to 2030 and defining orientation and tasks for 2026 to 2030. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính also head of the subcommittee, required the report compilation board to make in-depth analysis of the socio-economic achievements that Vietnam has carved out while carrying out the strategy amidst formidable challenges and complicated developments in the world. The analysis will be the basis to set suitable targets and solutions to removing bottlenecks as well as handling emerging issues. Regarding orientations and text for the next 5 years period, he suggested adding the directions of maintaining stability for growth and renewing the development mindset in all fields, while some fields must take the lead, particularly the completion of the socialist-oriented market economy mechanisms, so as to join the world's top 30 to 35 economies for the 2026 to 2030 period. Chairman of the National Assembly Trần Thanh Mẫn and Chairman of the State Duma of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation, Vyacheslav Viktorovich Volodin, held talks in Moscow on September the 9th as part of the Vietnamese legislator's official visit to Russia to co-chair the third meeting of the Vietnam-Russia Inter-Parliamentary Cooperation Committee.
The Russian host welcomed the Vietnamese counterpart on his first visit to Russia, following his election as a top Vietnamese legislator with strong support from the Vietnamese National Assembly. Chairman Volodin expressed confidence that based on this visit, high-level contacts between the parliaments of both countries will become more frequent, laying a solid foundation and contributing positively to the comprehensive strategic partnership between Russia and Vietnam. During the meeting, the two sides discussed and agreed on measures to strengthen and expand cooperation in line with the traditional and comprehensive strategic partnership between Vietnam and Russia. They agreed to coordinate activities to commemorate the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations in 2025. As representatives of legislative bodies, the two chairmen agreed to cooperate in overseeing and facilitating the implementation of bilateral cooperation across various fields. The two sides agreed that inter-parliamentary cooperation is a crucial pillar of bilateral relations that continues to be strengthened. Both sides frequently consult and support each other at multilateral parliamentary forums. The two chairmen confirmed that the Inter-Parliamentary Cooperation Committee between the Vietnamese and Russian parliaments is the first and highest cooperation mechanism that the Vietnamese National Assembly has established with a legislative body from another country. National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn proposed that the two sides continue to enhance exchanges of high-level delegations between the leadership of the legislative bodies, cooperation activities between parliamentary committees, and exchanges between friendship groups, young parliamentarians, and women parliamentarians.
Later on Monday in Moscow, the two countries' parliament leaders co-chaired the third session of the Inter-Parliamentary Cooperation Committee. During the session, Chairman Volodin underscored the long-standing and historically significant relationship between Russia and Vietnam. The session aimed to discuss solutions for developing the bilateral relationship to benefit both nations. Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn highlighted that the establishment of the Inter-Parliamentary Cooperation Committee in 2018 was a joint initiative between Russia and Vietnam. Since then, two effective sessions have deepened the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries across various fields, including socio-economic development, defense and security. The Vietnamese chairman also mentioned that following this parliamentary session on September the 11th to the 12th, the 25th session of the Vietnam-Russia Intergovernmental Committee on Economic, Trade and Scientific Technical Cooperation will take place. The governments of both countries will focus on resolving outstanding issues and setting future directions for cooperation. At the conclusion of the third session, the Vietnamese National Assembly and the Russian State Duma issued a joint statement. Vietnam-Laos relations have been nurtured by generations of leaders and people of both nations and throughout the years of the independence struggle. This has laid the foundation for the two countries to strengthen cooperation across all fields with numerous projects and initiatives.
The Vietnam-Laos Combat Alliance Monument is one of 4 memorials commemorating the heroes of Laos and Vietnam who sacrificed their lives during the independence struggles of both nations. In the spirit of helping friends is helping ourselves, tens of thousands of Vietnamese volunteer soldiers and experts sacrificed their lives while fulfilling international duties in Laos.
The party, government, and people of Laos are deeply grateful to the Vietnamese volunteer soldiers and experts who served in Laos and sacrificed their lives for the independence and freedom of both countries.
Many successful projects are also emerging symbols of the great bilateral relations between the two countries, such as the construction of Laos National Assembly building. Vietnam was the first country to send supplies to Laos during the COVID-19 pandemic and helped Laos recover from the Sipian Senam Noi hydropower dam collapse. The Lao government and people have also provided multiple instances of support to Vietnam during natural disasters.
During this visit, the leaders of both parties and nations will discuss each country's internal situation, exchange views on international matters, review recent cooperation, and set future directions for enhancing cooperation effectiveness.
To further deepen bilateral relations, following the recent state visit to Laos by Party General Secretary and State President To Lump, Party General Secretary and President of Laos Thong Loon Sisolet will make his second state visit to Vietnam since the beginning of his term in the 11th Congress of the Lao People's Revolutionary Party.
Coming up next in our world news, China opens up medical sector manufacturing to foreign investment. And climate change puts South Korea's homegrown kimchi at risk. At least 11 people have died and 9 others are missing following heavy rains and flooding in southern Morocco. 7 of the fatalities were reported in the Tata province, while 4 others, including a foreign national, were found in the provinces of Erachidia and Tisnit. The heavy rainfall also caused significant material damage, including the collapse of 40 homes and damage to 93 road sections. The rains also disrupted electricity, drinking water supply networks, and telephone networks. According to a press release from the Ministry of Equipment and Water, nearly 200 people and 96 earth-moving machines have been deployed to restore traffic in the affected regions. The Interior Ministry urged local residents and visitors to exercise extreme caution due to the unstable weather and to follow all guidelines issued by authorities. Moving on to China, China will fully open its manufacturing sector to foreign investments and is also allowing more room for foreign capital in its health sector. According to the latest negative list released by the Chinese Ministry of Commerce, the total number of restricted sectors for foreign investment has been reduced from 31 to 29. This decision takes effect as of November the 1st, marking a significant step towards promoting the opening up of the economy. China will also allow wholly foreign-owned hospitals to be set up in several major cities. Brazilian authorities stated that water levels in the rivers running through the vast Amazon rainforest have been falling to record lows. Water levels have receded by more than 1 meter compared to last year, making water transport impossible for residents. With rivers becoming more difficult to navigate and water too dirty to consume, many of the traditional rural population who live on riverbanks have been relying on outside supplies of drinking water. Authorities have declared a state of environmental emergency in several parts of the region. Many residents rely on non-governmental organizations or the state government for drinking water. While the region faced at least 3 record droughts in the last 20 years, this latest one has presented unprecedented challenges for the entire Amazon River basin. Kimchi, one of South Korea's cultural symbols, is seeing shrinking production as climate change takes its toll on the country's cabbage fields. In a response, the country's agriculture sector has developed numerous climate-resilient farming practices for a stable cuisine at risk.
Rising temperatures and erratic weather patterns have reduced the area of highland kimchi cabbage in Gangwon Province, South Korea's largest kimchi producer, by more than half since the 2000s. It's a daily struggle to adapt and survive for farmers.
Production costs have increased due to climate-related difficulties. Since crops are often affected by various diseases and pests, we have to continuously apply substances that are somewhat effective against them.
Kimchi cabbage thrives in cooler climates and is usually planted in mountainous regions where temperatures during the key growing summer season once rarely rose above 25 Celsius. These temperature changes, coupled with reduced farmland, threaten not just farmers' livelihoods, but also a staple of Korean cuisine, kimchi, a dish that Korean people eat every day.
When you think of kimchi, you often think of cabbage kimchi. If it disappears, it would be a shame. There are many other dishes in Korea that use cabbage, so it's unfortunate to lose that variety.
Researchers are taking action. The Rural Development Administration is working on various initiatives to combat the effects of climate change on cabbage farming.
We are also looking into watering methods that could help lower temperatures and expand the use of biological control methods to combat the newly emerging half-wilt disease. Given the rising temperatures, we are also working on developing cabbage varieties that can grow well even in higher temperatures.
Climate change scenarios project the farmed area to shrink dramatically in the next 25 years to just 44 hectares, with no kimchi cabbage grown in the highlands by 2090.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. See you again at 3 p.m. local time. Goodbye for now.